as I said after the game, just very, very disappointing loss. It's heartbreaking to our team, our fan base, to a lot of people. It hurts because our team has invested so much. We've worked extremely hard to get in that position, to win that game, to play quality football, and to come up short hurts a lot of people. But I am very proud of this team. They're very resilient. They're very tough. And we're really playing the game the right way. And it starts with our preparation, our attitude, our mindset. And I'm very proud of the team that way. They really work hard during the week to put themselves in a position to be successful on Saturday. And that's been like that all year and all off season. And again, it takes an awful lot of work by those players to put themselves in a position to play the way they do. There's things that we all can do better, starting with myself, that hurt, that we have to accept responsibility for, that we have to do better. And it starts with me. Again, if our team continues to play with that kind of edge and attitude and work and prepare the way they do and continue to get better, then good things are in store for us as we move through the season. So, we'll be excited to get back on the field and to begin our preparations and put this game behind us, because we really don't have time to sit and dwell on it. It was a long 24 hours for myself, that's for sure. Very difficult to get through. But today is a new day and a new week and a new opportunity. So it's exciting to get back to work, and can't wait to get in there and get going with our players.
Mark, Nick said he didn't think you got the guy on that last play. When you went back and looked at it, do you think you were prepared on that play?
I really can't comment on that because I'm in a no-win situation there. There's nothing for me to say about that. It was called, unfortunately. I know I've turned in seven or eight that I need an explanation that weren't called for myself. From our side.
Mark, when you guys go up 10 in the third quarter, I think at that point Stevens 13 of 17, 3 touchdowns. The next 3 drives, only a couple passes.
When was that? At what time?
After you go up 10, I think in the
Late third quarter.
Yeah.
at that point he's 13 of 17,
3 touchdowns.
throwing it pretty well.
The next
Yeah.
3 drives,
Only a couple.
passes.
Yeah.
Did you feel like maybe you guys went into
Shoot the clock mode too fast. Do you wish you'd gone through the jugular a little more at all, or no?
No, I don't really ever second guess that. With Coach Gran and our offensive staff, I think they really have a good feel for that, and it's difficult because you always can second guess yourself after the fact. We all do. I do more than anybody. When defense calls or things we could do different and different situations, I would surely like to do things over in hindsight. So believe me, we beat ourselves up quite a bit. But I have great trust in Coach Gran and Coach Henshaw and what they do offensively, and that's a tough call, because earlier we took points off the board when we threw it 3 straight times because we couldn't block them. So we took 3 points off the board because we went incomplete sack. So, I bet you on that situation we wished we ran it 3 times. Yeah, so it's hard to second guess, and I never would. I have great confidence in what they do, and we're not always going to be perfect.
What's the procedure supposed to be to communicate those 2 plays where the receiver was not covered?
Well, the procedure, it's hard to say, obviously that can't happen. There's no excuse for it. There's, and that starts with me. Now I got 2 guys that the ball cannot be snapped unless we have leverage on both sides of the ball, and that's on me. I can't believe it happened, but it did, and I take responsibility for that. And so there's that cannot happen, So we have plenty of people that can watch and look for things, and that shouldn't happen, and it did. And with the second one, there's on the one on the goal line, like I said, the communication. There's a lot of things that go on. It's very loud down there, and that we can't try to sub at that point. We tried to switch personnel, and the two corners got confused on who was coming out and who wasn't. And again, that can't happen. And again, that's on me.
Well, how much
I cannot let that happen.
How much did
Eighty being injured, figure.
I don't know. It always factors in. But it still can't happen.
You said you take responsibility, but how much is it for all the coaches, quality control assistants and all that to make sure that those substitutions are made, relay the message?
I'm ultimately responsible for all that. So, that's the way it goes. So
I'm sorry.
that's all right.
Because you guys are now so much better than you were when you got here, obviously, and this kind of things happens when your talent is now so much better and you're so close to continuing to rise. Do you beat yourself up more because you've got to a point where, you're saying, hey, look what Kentucky is now versus when I got here and now these things happen? Am I explaining it properly?
Yeah. I think I feel the same way sometimes on Sunday. I mean, you beat yourself up either way. Yeah, but yes, it is extremely difficult because we worked extremely hard to go out and play like that. And then to have any play that hurts you from winning, hurts you personally, and so that's the deal with the head coach, that every offense, defense, and special teams play is ultimately under your control, and anything that you do to take away from winning hurts you a great deal, So I said that last week that it was very important for myself also. I haven't been here for 30 years, but I embrace the history and the passion of our people, and we have to be able to shoulder that, and that's just the way it is. These kids don't, but I do. You know what I mean? These guys they weren't even born. They're just here trying to compete for the Big Blue Nation and fight their hearts out, and they've done that. And we'll do our best to put them in a position to be successful.
Mark, when you're the head coach
And you're as field level and as hands-on in the defense as you are. Do you have to set up? It sounds like maybe you have since this game. Do you have to set up some like fail safes, some other sets of eyes that are more big picture, like?
I do.
zoomed out,
Yes.
since
Yeah.
you talked about the one play where
I do.
you're personally staring at that one cluster.
And
I do. Yes. I do, and that is in place, and that's on me. So if they see, we have to have somebody specifically looking. When it does happen, and listen, I've coached for a long time, and I've been responsible for defensive backs as my primary group for, I'm old now. You guys probably know better than me, but what, 30 years? I don't know. Long time. And it's never happened to me before, but it's happened here. And I know it's happened too many times. That's 3 times. And so it's inexcusable. In 30 years, it's happened to me 3 times, and it's happened to me 3 times here. So that's on me. That should never happen again. I'll have 2 people watching the edges, the perimeter of the field. And if we're not in position, somebody better be hitting me over the head. And I need to call a timeout. And so I try to manage the game as best I can. And, we work hard at it. And that cannot happen.
So now as you try to turn the corner.
And it's a shame because, that's can't happen, period, point blank. Would put things in there. And it is a shame because the players in the team played exceptionally good football for a big portion of that game. That's the good news, and that's how far this team has come. Sorry.
So as now you turn the corner to this week, you said, that game was years in the making to win. How do you get your team to turn the corner and look toward the next game?
Much like we do each and every week, just get right back at it. We cannot enjoy, the wins too long, and you can't dwell on the losses. We're here because, we all cover this, and, we're here in Lexington, Kentucky, but take a good look around the country. 50% of us lose every week, and take a good look at the SEC. And there's a lot of those guys are good friends of mine, and believe me, it's brutal. And we're not alone, but it is what it is. I accept that, and I embrace it, and I enjoy it. I can't wait to get back to work today, and I'm sure the team's going to be the same way.
You
talked in the preseason, we talked after the South Carolina game about how the maturity of the team overcame that bad start. How much does that play into this week?
Yeah,
Making sure that the
I
guys turn the page.
And look to the next
I think it's a big piece of it. I really do, because that's just the mentality of this group, you know. You know, I think, you know, there's, you know, this team believes it. You know, I just read something this morning about communication. You know, what you say is about 7% they believe. Your body language is about roughly, you know, a big piece of it, and your belief, whether you believe it or not, is a big piece of it. You know, what you say means very little, but the way you carry yourself and how you go about your business and what they believe, you know, is all of it.
Mark, it's easy for leaders to step up and be vocal after a big victory. Who are some of the players that you've seen step up after a difficult loss like this?
Quite a few. That's the great thing, is quite a few guys really stepped up. You know, it was good to see growth in so many ways. It's just like, you know, I tried to offset that last Monday about the atmosphere and focusing and seeing what we need to see and not looking at the big, you know, the big picture. And there's many things we could learn from that environment where we need to execute better. The next time we're in that situation, we need to play better in certain situations, all of us. And so, you know, we're constantly striving to improve in that area. But I also saw great leadership, because I saw frustration, and guys wanted it so bad that there's frustration in there. And then I saw the guys regroup and become player-led. You know, the leadership come from the players, and you know that's great to see. And you know, that's growth. And so, you know, none of us are perfect, but there's a lot of guys. Well, the you know, the guys that you would normally think, you know, with Courtney, you know, is a guy that automatically stands out. But you know, I think all of the guys, you know, Nick is always a great leader, Steven. But you know, the nice thing is you're just seeing more and more of them.
Mark, you can't really teach that either, can you? Doesn't that become naturally?
Well, I think we've worked it for 5 years. You know, it's finally becoming a player-led team. So that's something that we grind on 24/7, because we're not, you know, that's their team. You know, but yeah, we constantly have to teach them to be player-led.
Mark, in baseball, we talk about sometimes when not being able to throw becomes mental. Do you think that's happening on those shotgun snaps? And is there anything y'all can do proactively?
You know, we'll continue to work all options. I mean, obviously we know we can't have that, and I think, as I said after the game, I mean, you know, it was very hot. There was, you know, he was very sweaty. I mean, there's times I think when his grip is an issue. You know, we gotta continue to look at all options. You know, and we'll give maybe look at Drake a little bit this week too, and see if we can move Bunchy to guard a little bit. You know, you know, we got to continue to tweak that. Try to be as, you know, perfect as we can be.
Any update on Derek Bay or Jordan Jones?
No update at this point.
Okay, Sam King had a really good game.
He did.
Made some big plays. Do you see him developing each week and becoming more of the game, part of the game?
We do. We said that we wanted to. Even in the South Carolina game, we had situations where we wanted to get him in the game more. The way it unfolded on a couple series, the way we were backed up or going in, it didn't go that way. But you see what he can do. We've talked about it all camp. I was really happy for him to get in there and get some opportunities and do well. And you know, that's a great, you know, lesson for some of our other players, because you know, these guys work hard and frustration sets in because they want the ball, they want to play. And he's a guy that's earned our trust the way he's gone about his business this past camp, you know, this year. And when he went in there, he produced. And so, you know, if you want to play, make us not play you. You know, and if he does things like that, then we have to get him in there. So that's the good thing.
Mark, was there any conversation in the locker room after the game about how eager the players are to get back to practice, to get back at it, and get into next week?
Not this past week. No. I mean, today is a new day, and so we will be in there, and I have no doubt that the guys will respond. But no, I haven't seen them since I left that locker room the other day, and that was a a locker room that was filled with disappointment. Those guys left it on the field, and, that's for sure.
Speaking of that, do you have confidence? You talked a little bit last week or maybe the week before about how you think this is one of the most coachable teams that you've had. Do you think that they're going to come in ready, or do you think that there's going to be any of that disappointment still?
No, I'm sure there will be disappointment when they walk in the door today. But that's why we will watch the film, and we will get back on the practice field, and we'll kick the dust off us, and when we walk out of here today, we'll be focused and ready to go. And the coaches already have an opportunity to do that because we have to come in on Sunday and get to work, and you don't have much time to sit around and pout. That's over, and the players will feel better once they leave today and they see the game.
Mark, what impresses you about this condition?
Very well coached, very sound. Just a very good football team. They have some impressive games this year. Winning on the road at Rutgers is a big win. And I thought, I really know and watch, Ohio, and the fact that they took them to such a close game and really had some great opportunities to win that game is impressive. We all saw what Ohio U did against Kansas, and so these are good, sound, tough football teams. And I like the way they play. They're just very sound. They know what they're doing. They know what they do. They do it well. They don't try to be too cute on either side of the ball. They just play good, sound, fundamental football, and their players play really hard.
Mark, you were fantastic in third down efficiency in the previous games. This game, not so much. How much of an emphasis is that going to continue to be?
It's always an emphasis. It's always a big point of, whether you win or lose games is how you play in critical situations, and we need to get back on the right track of that.
Charles Walker had a few big catches and some big returns on Saturday. How important is he becoming in this game?
He's always been important, and he's just such a good football player, and he's reliable, and he makes big plays, and doesn't surprise me with him.
We saw a few new wrinkles out of the Wildcat with Lynn and Fahim and Benny. How much of that Wildcat have we seen, or how much is Eddie still trying to roll out? And
Yeah, there's always some things you could toy with that, and that's the nice thing. And again, it doesn't. It's just formations, and most of the plays are plays we run some form or fashion. But it's a lot to a defense when you start looking at different sets, different formations, and different personnel groupings, and what you're doing with it. So. There's still some things we could get going, but when you play in games like that, even just the last two alone, those are tough, hard-fought yards, and they're very difficult. And so, the wide open space is hard to come by in these games. And so, if we can get loose and get going, there's some creativity there that we just got to get rolling. But those are tough yards against Florida.
Mark, in regard to the communication issues, you mentioned the crowd noise. Other than it being loud, what are some of the other factors that make it so chaotic and so difficult to communicate in those situations?
Well, for defense, and we talked about it all last week, and we need to continue to get better at it, and we are going to practice with some serious crowd noise, defensively, to help us, make us communicate better with our hand signals and different, not just the two plays that everybody think. That's everybody. How do I say that? That's not communication. You know what I mean? That's a mistake that, again, I take. You know what I mean? That can't happen. But those aren't communication. The errors in communication are on our fits, and when they're getting yards, and when we're doing things that were wrong in our rotation, or knowing whether it's unbalanced, or knowing where the safeties are coming down. Those are communication issues that are happening on the field that you may or may not understand what's going on there. Everybody knows when a guy's not covered. I mean, so that's totally different but it's very hard when it's that loud. I mean, it's total chaos out there for those players. They're changing personnel, they're changing their shift and their motion and creating new sets. There's a lot of things for these players to be dialed into, and sometimes we were very good at it, and sometimes we weren't. And it's a urgency to communicate, and so we'll continue to get better in certain areas.
After you guys went down 28-27, the official's mic was still hot. In the press box, we heard him yell to your sideline, you guys only have 10 guys on the field, not 11, and then you made the switch on the kickoff. Is that a personnel communication issue too?
On the kickoff?
Yeah, on the...
I didn't even, it's news to me. I mean, it seemed like we had 11. I don't know.
Well, he yelled it out and then somebody made a switch. Okay.
I mean, there's, I mean, every time we're on special teams, obviously we're counting every person on that. So I'm sure Dean wouldn't have allowed us to run down there with 10, so. And, again, it's difficult with that because there's a lot of guys that go down and that are injured and hurt and, so, or winded, so.
Mark, with Saturday being the 50th year anniversary of Nate Northington breaking the SEC color barrier, and you guys were a big part of that ceremony last year with the statue, and you see it every time.
Yeah, I was just going to say hi, Nate. Just say he walked in back, and I was definitely, before I left, going to comment on that. Just honored to be a part of it, to be a small piece of it, and to have Nate back, and to recognize Nate and the other three gentlemen, and that's wonderful for the University of Kentucky. I'm proud just to be a small part of it. Our players love seeing them and having them around, and being a part of our program, and we're proud of Nate and everybody that's been a part of this and recognizing them. And it's a big year with the 50th anniversary, and he'll be at the SEC championship game and here this week, so we're proud of him.
Mark, as you've walked players and families into your complex now that statue's out there, have you heard reactions from them?
It is.
Don't know the story, don't know Kentucky's part in that.
It is, and it's wonderful for us to embrace that piece of it and recognition of them and the positive recognition that we should be talking about. And it's tough times right now, and it's nice for us to be able to recognize them and to discuss that.
Mark, that special team, when did you all realize that Charles would shake and run down the field?
We've realized it for a while because he is super fast, and he's taken great pride in it, and that's the great thing about something we constantly talk about, and is not seeing too much, doing your job. And he embraces that. He embraces his role on the team, and he's a difference maker. He's had a big impact. He takes great pride in what he's doing.
CJ Conrad.
Pardon me?
CJ Conrad started the season on Preston.
Yeah, CJ's been really, doing a great job. He's playing well, making some big catches. He had another one. Of course, we covered him up, on an illegal formation, but the end that other good catch that set us up in the red zone. But he's really playing well, doing some good things, and hopefully we'll continue to hit him and use him. And he's fighting through a lot too. He's banged up. He's beat up a little bit right now. So hopefully we'll get him a little bit of rest this week during but he's beat up pretty good.
9 guys caught passes in South Carolina, 8 on Saturday. How nice is it to have so many of a variety of weapons now on the offense?
Yeah, it is. It's important, and we need to continue to do that. We need to get improve. Somebody was asking me, Kyle, or somebody was asking me about just the pass game in general. When they're in certain sets, Florida covered us pretty good, and we got to create some space for Steven and our quarterbacks. So we got to get some outside receivers that are getting open.
When you went back and looked at the film, despite the loss, anybody in particular that stuck out that played well that we haven't already talked about?
Well, I think Charles obviously is a guy we talked about, but defensively, Darius West played a very good game. Mike played well. He had a play or two that he wished he'd come off. But he's one of the guys I was discussing afterwards as somebody asked me about fatigue late in that game, and he's a guy that just plays a lot of snaps and plays so hard, and he's so valuable to us. We got to find a way to kind of, get him a little bit of rest here and there, because in those critical games like that, when the game's on the line, you'd like to have him a little bit fresh there. But offensively, I think Saheem, played very well. Benny had some tough yards as well. Obviously, Steven did some very good things. There's plays there too that we need to, that he will see that we left some on the field, and that's about just being efficient and running the offense. And I think early he may have pressed. He threw some down the field that the way they covered it, we had no shot. We were covered, and we had some easy throws that were built into the call that we just got to execute. That are just simple little routes, bubbles, and things that are there. And so, but like all of us, he'll see them and get better.
Mark, after you look at the tape, why was Florida able to run the ball so effectively in the fourth quarter? How much of that was fatigue?
Some of it was fatigue. Some of it was in a certain set. In certain sets, we weren't getting it lined up exactly right. We're a gap off a gap. You start getting soft. It starts creating issues. When that stuff starts happening, then breakdowns start happening. And so there's things we could get fixed and will. And the nice thing is for our players, and they'll come in, they'll look at it, and the light bulb will go on and say, oh, okay, we could fix that immediately. And so that's the good part of it. We'll get it fixed quickly, and we'll move on.
How does it work today when you bring them in? Do you guys watch all the film together as a group? And how will that go?
It's interesting you brought that up, because we do it a variety of ways. It depends how we feel. And we were just discussing that defensively. And we discussed it last night as well, late, and I was like, we were all tired and obviously beat up. I said, let's discuss it tomorrow. And we discussed it this morning, and so we do it a variety of ways. Sometimes I like getting a lot of times I like getting all the defense together, because there can't be issues. You can't panic because there are yards. I like everybody to see and trust, if we just do our job, that there's a fix, immediate fix, so it don't create to other problems. But again, with this team, I don't worry about them with that. They don't hit the panic button. They don't flinch. They don't, you know what I mean? So we could separate and honestly get to the root of our positions and really dig in fundamentally to get better position-wise. So that's what we will do. We always come together and go over a few things as a group, obviously as a team, and then offense and defense as a unit, and then we separate in the position. So today will be, to answer your question, primarily position, maybe 5-10 minutes as a group, and then so that's how we'll do it.
You talk about not flinching, obviously a difficult loss. Do you take any solace out of that last drive, even though you got the penalty? You only got 43 seconds, you got to go.
Yeah.
Get into it and
After not being able to move the ball in the 3 previous possessions, they were able to get it down the field.
I do feel good about that, and I really had great confidence that we would do that. And as long as we got the protection, which we did. We got good protection. Again, they got good cover guys. So predictable pass can be dangerous against them. And I was very proud of the fact that we had some options. And even the one where just barely their defender got in the way to Juice, and that was designed well. And that was a big chunk play that was set up that we were inches off of completing. And and then obviously Charles was a big play. And I thought it was a great call. For us, the operation was perfect. The way we converted, we were in field goal range. That's why we ran the ball. And it was perfect because they were set up with 2 high, matching, playing a match coverage, underneath with 2 safeties. So the box was perfect for us to run the ball. And all we really were looking for was 5 yards maybe, and we split it and whatever we got, 10 or 15, and couldn't have worked out any better.